So, how much does a helicopter license really cost? Before we get started, let's just say there's vibration in helicopters, which you will experience, and maybe not in a good way. Also, there are rules. Oh, so many rules. Because rules you have to follow because you're not Boeing. So let's get started. Sound of a helicopter may be annoying, sometimes especially when you're in the middle of a nice sleep. Also, when you're watching a very important news or an ongoing climax of your favorite TV show. But for some people in the middle of a crisis, calamity, or emergency, the chopper sound is like music to their ears, symbolizing hope, rescue. Because of this, for some, piloting a helicopter is far more fulfilling than flying an airplane, as the former seem to have a more personal touch. But just like flying any other aircraft, you will need a license to fly one. The average cost of a helicopter license, or to get a helicopter license, ranges from $11,000 to $16,000, depending on which school you train at. Expect to spend around $18 to $35 or more for the commercial type that requires 150 minimum hours and 100 as pilot in command. Excuse me. The cost you'll have to spend on the helicopter license fees to be rated as a CFI or a certified flight instructor is from $38,000 to as high as $70,000. That includes an instrument rating. It's pretty expensive, but don't fret. Most companies will want to hire someone who has accumulated between 500 to 1,000 hours or more as pilot in command. So treat it as an investment. Besides, it will be hitting two birds with one stone from that point on. Whatever flight hours you may have earned from being a flight instructor will all be credited to your total flight hours. And that you'll need to land a job in some helicopter flying companies anyway. That's besides getting paid while doing it, of course. If you have been certified in a fixed-wing aircraft, you will likely be spending around $8,000 to $10,000, only as your flight hours will be credited to the log time required to get a helicopter license. In a pilot academy, typical cost to get a helicopter license per type is as follows, and I'll read this so as not to miss anything. Package number 1, total cost $62,345. Commercial pilot certificate $14,750. Commercial pilot without instrument rating $35,320, and a CFI for $12,275. Package number 2, $68,074. Private pilot $14,750. Instrument rating $12,439. Commercial $25,525. CFI $12,275. The certified flight instructor instrument rating is an additional $3,085. So what's included? The helicopter license fees in the pilot school include a complete set of helicopter training with certifications. Now, these training sets typically would include text and materials, the necessary hours of dual flights and certain allocated hours of solo, also hours for ground training and for pre and post flight, hours of helicopter rental, of course, for practical test, and then the computerized FAA written examinations. Some additional costs you might expect you may incur during training are the following. Let's have a look here. Additional flights would cost $270 to $535 per hour rental, depending on the model of helicopter, of course, and using flight simulator costs around $108 per hour. Training with an instructor outside of the school's official training times could cost $30 to $63 per hour. A headset rental may cost around $5. However, you may consider buying your own for $110 to $1,100, depending on the brand or noise canceling, etc. Flight insurance, which might be a renter insurance, typically costs around $81 for coverage limited to liability only, while the one which covers up to bodily injury costs around $175. A renter registration may be required, which normally costs $10. Student registration may be charged $100. When you're from another country, student registration could cost, say, $200. And some schools offer discovery flights that consist of half an hour of ground instruction and another half hour of actual flight training to test the waters, so to speak, if flying is really for you, or flying a helicopter is really for you. These flights range from 95 to 285 an hour, depending on the type, or pardon me, for the half hour, depending on the type and the model of the helicopter. If you want to stay in the campus vicinity, or for convenience, weekly housing would cost around 180 to 200. Short-term stay, if less than 21 days, would be charged roughly 43 per day. So where to get a helicopter license? You may locate different helicopter flight schools and academies by contacting any local Federal Aviation Administration or FAA Flight Standards district office. You can also locate a helicopter school at justhelicopters.com. So, factors affecting helicopter license fees. Type of license you may choose between getting a private license or a commercial license with or without an instrument rating. You may also opt to become a CFI, but expect varying rates for each type, depending where you go. These are estimates. Pilot school, choose your training ground wisely. It's best to research on your prospective school for their rates, student feedback, reviews to get the best deal. Prior license. If you have a private pilot's license on a fixed-wing aircraft, it would be credited to your flight hours to get the required number of hours for a helicopter license, therefore saving you effort and some dough. Let's face it, cheaper to rent a fixed-wing. Your capability, well, it's said that you need a particular number of hours to get a license, but realistically speaking, it is more than that when it comes to the actual practical test. Flying is very sensitive and risky, especially helicopter flying. That's an endeavor that you may want to make sure you know everything and that you've perfected everything before applying it to your prospective job. So your ability to learn faster would definitely make a big difference in the cost. Pilot schools or private training. The choice between training privately and attending a pilot academy would have a bearing on the cost to get a helicopter license. There are pros and cons for each type. So you would be torn between convenience and cost. Take your pick. Cost can be crucial, of course. The cost of helicopter rental. The rental cost of the helicopter and the number of hours you need for each type of license you target would make a difference in your total. Total costs, of course, could vary wildly depending on that. Instructor costs. Whenever you hire an instructor for your private training or need additional instructions beyond your school training hours, your instructor rate will be a big factor in the helicopter license fees. Not as big as the helicopter, of course, and overall training expenditures. Additional information is your overall health is critical in the making or breaking it into the aviation world. You should be able to pass a vision, hearing, and psychological test prior to taking the practical. Or you risk losing a hefty investment on all the training expenses if you eventually fail the medical and psychological examination. So passing a written examination is a prerequisite to the practical test phase. If you train in a flight school, you will have no problem finding a testing center to take the test. But if you train privately, you'll need to locate an FAA certified testing center to schedule an exam. The practical test measures your overall knowledge of the various pre-flight procedures, aircraft navigation, emergency operations, as well as airport and heliport operations. Your flight instructor must certify that you're ready to be able to take the practical. So thank you for watching. Please click the like and share buttons below and share this video to your email lists. Please embed or link on your blog site, internet forums, etc. Thank you and goodbye.